Can humans ever leave the Milky Way galaxy? A wormhole tale of hope, science, and the quest beyond our stars. Prologue. The question that changed everything. For millennia, humanity had looked up at the stars and wondered, are we alone? But in the age of fusion-powered cities, sentient AI, and orbital habitats, the question evolved. It was no longer about neighbors in the cosmos. It became something more ambitious. Can humans ever leave the Milky Way galaxy? The question echoed through universities, space agencies, and think tanks across Earth and its colonies. It was no longer the realm of fiction. It was a scientific challenge. One answer, one theory, began rising above all others. Wormholes. Chapter 1. The Invisible Gateway. The concept was not new. The equations had existed since the early 20th century. Wormholes, shortcuts through space-time, were mathematical artifacts, predicted by the general theory of relativity. The problem was not discovering them. The problem was making them real. That changed when a hidden research facility, buried under mountains far from the noise of cities, made a breakthrough. A magnetic wormhole, microscopic, but undeniably functional, was created. Magnetic fields passed invisibly between 2 points, through a spatial fold. It was not a spaceship, nor a tunnel wide enough for matter, but it was proof. Proof that space-time could be bent, folded, and connected like cloth stitched by unseen hands. The implications were staggering. Chapter 2. Blueprint of a Dream. With confirmation that wormholes could exist at a quantum level, humanity turned to its most audacious project yet, designing a vessel that could travel through one. The ship that took form was colossal, not in bulk but in complexity. It was less a machine and more a living algorithm, surrounded by stabilizing rings, powered by negative energy harvested from the edge of a supermassive black hole. This energy, elusive and once thought impossible to extract, was theorized to be the only force that could keep a wormhole open wide enough for human travel. The craft was infused with layers of AI, organic memory cores, and quantum processors. It was not just a vehicle, it was a consciousness, a guide, and a guardian. A new kind of odyssey was about to begin. Chapter 3. First Steps into the Unknown. The departure was silent. No fanfare, no dramatic countdowns. Only the hum of stabilized space-time as the vessel slipped into orbit around a wormhole just outside the galactic disk. It did not resemble a tunnel. It shimmered like fluid glass, twisting and coiling in the void, surrounded by gravitational anomalies and radiation pulses. When the moment arrived, reality itself seemed to protest. Stars elongated, colors defied logic, time bent like wind. Entering the wormhole was not like crossing space, it was like crossing into thought, memory, and possibility. And then, just as suddenly, the silence of the intergalactic void greeted them. Chapter 4. Beyond the Galactic Shore. What lay outside the Milky Way was not chaos, it was nothingness. A dark ocean stretched endlessly, where galaxies floated like lanterns adrift in ink. The emptiness between galaxies was pure. No dust, no debris, no gravitational anchors. Instruments that once thrived in planetary orbits now struggled to read the vacuum. But something else existed there. Drifting silently in the intergalactic dark was an object, neither natural nor human-made. It was a structure of shifting geometry, a monument suspended in eternity. As the ship approached, the structure reacted, not physically but informationally. It communicated through pulses, colors, frequencies. The message it conveyed was chilling. You are not the first. But you may be the last. Chapter 5. Echoes. From the ancient void. The structure was an archive, left behind by a civilization that had mastered wormhole travel long before Earth had discovered fire. Their bodies had long vanished, but their knowledge remained encoded in light, sound, and quantum data. They spoke of dangers unseen, of travelers who lost themselves, not in space, but in identity. Wormholes were not only bridges between places, but between states of being. Each journey altered the traveler's perception, unbinding the soul from time. The archive warned. The more often one crossed the veil between galaxies, the more likely one was to forget where one came from, or even what it meant to be human. The crew, now pilgrims in the dark, understood the cost of exploration was not just physical but existential. Chapter 6. Return to a Forgotten Earth. The return through the wormhole was more difficult than the departure. The space-time corridor buckled, and the universe seemed to mourn their passage. But when the vessel finally re-emerged into the Milky Way, everything had changed. Earth was still blue, still whole, still turning beneath its clouds, but silent. No voices, no networks, no response. Archival systems revealed the truth. While only weeks had passed for the travelers, over 300 years had elapsed on Earth. Time dilation, gravitational fields, and the nature of the wormhole itself had made centuries blink away. In those centuries, civilization had collapsed and rebuilt itself, evolving into biomechanical consciousnesses, post-human collectives, and silicon-based sentience. The Earth they knew no longer remembered them. They had become the forgotten gods of a past age. Chapter 7. A Choice Among Stars. The crew faced a choice more profound than any humanity had ever known: to remain on a changed Earth, strangers in their own cradle, or to leave again, becoming seeds of a new beginning in another galaxy. They chose to leave, but this time, it was not exploration. It was creation. The ship was now a vessel of legacy, carrying DNA libraries, art, languages, memories, and music. It was humanity's ark, crafted not in desperation, but in hope. Their new destination, a galaxy millions of light years away. A place untouched, unshaped. A blank page in the cosmic book. As they entered the second wormhole, this time one built by their own minds and machines, one final message was recorded. We are not escaping. We are expanding. And the Milky Way was only the beginning. Epilogue. The Watchers Beyond. Far beyond visible light, far beyond galaxies, there were watchers, beings of crystalline geometry and nonlinear thought. They had seen species rise and fall, but none had dared what humanity now attempted. They have begun the true journey, one spoke in pulses. Another answered, let us see, if they can do what even we could not. Final reflection. The meaning of leaving. To ask whether humans can leave the Milky Way is to ask whether humans can evolve beyond fear, beyond comfort, beyond the known. It was never about propulsion systems or exotic matter. It was about imagination. It was about courage. It was about unity. And in the void between galaxies, within the echoes of wormholes and the whispers of stars unborn, humanity found its answer, not in maps or measurements but in the unshakable will to go further. Because the sky was never the limit. It was only the invitation.